Hey everyone, welcome to another video. My name is Jordan Carroll, aka the Remote Job Coach. I help high performers land legitimate remote jobs to gain more freedom and flexibility in their lives, but today we're going to talk about some other stuff. This other stuff is how to use a simple post-it note to change your life. Okay, so you are one of those people, let's just say a human, who is trying to implement a new habit but has failed. All of us have been through that process. You want to try to eat better, but you end up eating a full plate of cookies at the end of the day. You want to try to run more, but you're so tired from work and your commute and all that other bullshit that you just don't do it. There are so many habits that we want to introduce into our routine that are healthy, that make us feel better. However, the average habit can take from 18 to 254 days to establish. The stats are crazy because they're so inconsistent. Some people say one thing and other people say another thing. At the end of the day, what we realize and what we recognize from the science is that it's hard to train your brain. It's hard to train yourself to do these things, especially when willpower is involved, especially when free choice is involved, right? So let's talk a little bit about a very simple method that you can use today to change your life entirely. Okay, so a little bit of background on this. One of the tools that we're going to be using in conjunction with our post-it note is going to be a technique called piggybacking or habit stacking. Essentially what that means is that you're taking existing habits, things that you already do without even thinking about, and we leverage the fact that those are already ingrained in what you do to stack or add or piggyback another new habit. And I recently went through the process of coaching one of my clients through how to do this. And I'm gonna give you an example of what this looks like as told by that story of how we came to the conclusion of what we were gonna do. So the client in question was trying to add meditation to her routine. It was something that she had always felt would be a really great thing, meditation, breath work, that sort of stuff, to introduce into her existing habits. I agreed 100%. Breath work, meditation have changed my life like completely. So I have to do them every single day. By now, for me, it's mostly a habit. There are certainly some days that I skip, but I remember when I was first getting started with meditation, it is one of the hardest things to add in as a habit because you sit there and you're just kind of almost like waiting for something to happen and your mind races everywhere and it's kind of crazy. But once you can get through that kind of initial phase where it's really, really uncomfortable to just where it's mildly uncomfortable and your brain doesn't shoot off in every direction as much, it can be very rewarding and you will see the differences pretty quickly from at least my experience. So what I had her do, and I want to give you these 3 steps so that you can implement this as well. The first step is to list out all of the current habits in your daily routines. These are the things that you do when you wake up, when you go to sleep, middle of the day, whatever. Things that you do every day, no matter what, you don't have to remind yourself. So make that list first. When you're making that list, one of the good things to understand are what are the triggers of each of those habits. So are there things that happen right before those particular habits, and what is the order in which they all occur? So make sure that you write them in a chronological order because that's going to help us for one of the other steps. Now, the second thing we're going to do is we're going to determine where the new habit would fit into that schedule. So if you've chronologically listed all the different habits that you currently have as established habits, we need to figure out where is this new one fitting in. And the last part of this is to take a post-it note and you will write on the post-it note and you will put this post-it note on the final trigger before your new habit is set to happen. Now let's walk through each one of those steps with the client that I was working with. So number 1, we did the list of all the current habits that she had. So she said, I brush my teeth in the morning when I wake up, I wash my face, I walk my dog, and then I make breakfast. I was like, perfect, let's write all that out. So we wrote all that out. And she wanted to implement meditation into her morning. So that's why we talked specifically about her morning. But if you wanted to do it at night, then what you'd look at is what you do at night. So then we took that information and I said, where in this routine do you want meditation to occur? Where is it most natural for you to happen? And what she said was, after I wash my face and brush my teeth and before I go on the walk with my dog. So I said, great, we've got a place within your habits that we want this to occur. Now, what is the thing that happens right before you walk your dog? What is that trigger that lets us know we're going outside to take the pup out? And what she said, unsurprisingly, was that it was getting his leash. So if that's to say that every single time that she's going to go on this walk with her dog, she needs to have the leash, like that is the one thing that happens right before, that becomes our trigger for our post-it note. So believe it or not, she took the post-it note, she wrote on it, meditation, went over to the leash and put it directly on the leash. Now, one key thing to remember is that every time that she puts the leash back, this needs to make its way back on there, at least until the habit feels secured and it's something that she no longer has to think. Again, for different people, that's probably going to take different amounts of time, but at least for a while, she should be using that post-it note as a reminder. Now, what she also did, and this is something you can think of as well, is that she put a post-it note also in her bathroom on her mirror that also said it, because the thing that she did before she would go and get the leash was she would wash her face, so she'd actually have to look up at the mirror and see that post-it note there. Now, one of the things that I think about is that it's easier to see a post-it in the more random place that the post-it is. I think it's easier to see. So in my opinion, it's probably easier to see on the dog leash. Like it's more like weird to see it and it will remind you. Whereas if you see it on the mirror, a lot of times when we look in a mirror, we're like looking at ourselves. So we're not necessarily seeing the things on the mirror, and after time, you might just forget that the post-it note's even there. So I always recommend, if you have that trigger or have that thing that is a little bit outlandish or just looks like the post-it note just does not belong there, it's gonna help remind you. I've had other clients do this where we're trying to get rid of that habit of looking at their phone right when they wake up. So what we do is every night we re-put this one post-it note on top of their phone so that it reminds them to go for a walk in the morning or meditate or journal or whatever it is. Think about how you can make this stick by using a sticky note. So that is the post-it note trick to help make habits sticky. I hope that you enjoyed that. I hope you go use it. Please let me know if this is something that works for you, or if you have an idea for how you stick to your habits. I would love for you to comment below and let me know what works for you. I know a collection of our knowledge will make us better. So thanks again for watching today. Keep wandering. You're not lost.